how you got to meet Charlie there. But I want to get started with some background information. WCHQ, we play only local and regional music from Kentucky, southern Indiana. And so where are you from? Originally, you're not from Kentucky.
Well, I was born in Texas, but my parents are from Kentucky, and we moved back here right away. In fact, we moved right to Louisville.
Right.
I was 1 year old, or I don't even think I was one by the time we got back to Kentucky. So I've lived most of my life in Paducah or Louisville or Calvert City, Marshall County.
Right.
And I always come back home to Kentucky. It's in my bloodline,
Gotcha. How did you get started in music?
Well, I always took to it. I think might have been even like Disney movies like The Jungle Book and Robin Hood and all those great soundtracks, just listening to my mom play piano, going to church. She played gospel music, classical music, show tunes.
Right.
And I'd sit on the bench and sing along a little bitty, So I always had music in the house because of her. And then she tried to give me piano lessons, but I couldn't read music. I never could figure it out.
Right.
I'd just memorize it and pretend I was reading.
Yeah.
And then I decided I just would quit and try to teach myself. I was getting into blues. And so I taught myself how to play the blues scale in every key on the piano, and that's basically all I still know. But I can fake it. Then my dad bought me a harmonica and started playing in blues bands, and then I got into old time music here about 12, 13 years ago, and started playing clawhammer banjo, and just always loved anything bluesy and rootsy.
Gotcha. Do you remember writing your first original song?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
They often are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it about a girl? I'm just curious.
It was about food.
Okay.
And having to eat leftovers.
I got you.
Yeah, leftover blues. It was a horrible song.
Well, let's do what I'm excited to hear. Let's go ahead and kick off the show with an original or with a live tune.
Okay. I'm more known for the harmonica, so I'll start on it.
Okay.
And here we go. A thing called Gob Iron Stomp.
There we go. All right, I'm back. J.D. Wilkes on the harp. I tell you what, that's some otherworldly harp there.
Yeah, well, it's what I do.
Absolutely. I want to talk about your influences as a musician. Before I do that, though, what does J.D. Wilkes listen to when he just wants to enjoy music?
Old dead people.
Old dead people? Yeah.
Yeah, if they've got a pulse, I'm not listening.
I got you.
No, I love Doc Boggs. I love Muddy Waters. I love Roscoe Holcomb. I love just about anything Alan Lomax recorded. I love anything the Chess Brothers recorded. Right. I love Field Hollers and basically anything unlistenable to most people.
I got you.
I like Tom Waits, though, and Nick Cave, and I like the more creative, rootsy guys that are doing the murder ballad tradition,
Sure. Well, I said I'm going to ask you about your influences, and I'm going to talk about that a little more in the next segment of the interview when I talk about your writing. I want to know who you looked up to, when you were younger, first starting out as a musician. Who did you emulate? We all, looked at somebody and wanted to be that person, or at least I did.
I think it was Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Then later it was Ren and Stimpy. I don't think they were real people.
Right.
I was just like slapstick comedy, and I liked old music in those old. They used to have a show, Uncle Briggs and the Funny Company was one of those locally produced kid shows
Gotcha.
that used to be on local TV when
Right.
I was a kid. Like Bozo was on WGN,
Sure.
but more local.
Yeah.
And they'd say, put on your cartoon eyes, and you put your fingers like this over your eyes.
Right.
And then he plays Deputy Dog or something like that. And then they'd say, put on your Three Stooges eyes or your Little Rascals eyes. So I got to see all those old reruns like that, and they were real funny. And so I think it impressed me to kind of be a character. And also, I love the old music and those Little Rascals and stuff like that.
We don't have locally produced shows like that anymore.
It was Presto the Clown when I was a kid here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. On was it T-Bar V or it was
It was before my time. The cowboy thing.
Yeah. I think we need more stuff like that, more local centric stuff.
I do too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to play a cut. You're well known as being. Are you a founding member of the legendary Shack
I'm the only
Shakers?
guy left of the original cast.
And we're going to be talking a little bit about them too. We're gonna play. Which one did we say we were going to play first? Mud. What can you tell us about that song?
It's a train song based on an old defunct railroad that ran from Paducah to Cairo, Illinois.
All right, it's the legendary Shack Shakers. Mud on WCHQ, Cumberland Country. Legendary Shack Shakers featuring J.D. Wilkes. And J.D. Wilkes is live in the studio here on Cumberland Country, WCHQ 100.9 FM. So, J.D., I want to talk about your writing. You know, we have a lot of musicians that listen to WCHQ because we do feature local music. Mm-hmm. And I always like to spend, a good portion of time on writing. Do you have a writing process? Do you say, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write a song?
Writing songs, I'm always in the process of that. It's not really a sit-down, think-about-it thing until I've got a melodic idea that matches up with a phrase that I've got saved somewhere, written down or in my phone or something. Then whenever I find when you speak, a phrase has a certain meter to it.
Right.
Well, you find that riff in your grab bag of riffs that you've been collecting too, and you see which one of those riffs matches the meter of that language. So then Then I'll sit down with that idea and wax poetic and
Gotcha.
and maybe go back into that, that book of phrases to see what phrases go with this theme all of a sudden I'm writing about. And I'll try to pick out. It's almost like working a crossword puzzle or something. Once you get the theme of it, the rhythm of it, and then you start piecing all these things together. You've been collecting 24/7 for years.
Well, that's a process of sorts.
It is. Yes, it's a long haul, long range, drawn out thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you feel like your best songs come easily?
Yep.
Yeah.
The ones that have all that we had luck placing in movies and commercials. Right. I wrote them in like 5 minutes.
And it's almost
ticks me off.
Well, I've had several songwriters over the 4 years I've been doing this on here, and hundred. And the consensus is, it's almost like you're a conduit for something greater, or you're just taking
happens.
Notes. Right.
Yeah, it has to be something in the universe that just opens up, and then you got it. It's like you're dream catching or something.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think I want to hear another lap tune, if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, here's a tune I wrote after getting kicked out of the dump in Marshall County for not having the right ID. Out of my Cracking County license. Right up through the pepper cotton shag. If you ain't got $1, you can always pay 'em back. When they Clawfoot tub with these long johns on, goes fishing for the devil, to his hoggle while the pond, and sings a dump roll till his voice is all but gone. Toboggan on his head, table scraps in his beard. A tire on fire, see his look of fear. Well, singing praises to the darkness, cursing out the light, pulls out his devil tail and he cuts off his knife and sings a dump roll, eternally in paradise.
J.D. Wilkes live on Cumberland Country.
You're beat it out of tune.
Absolutely. WCHQ 100.9 FM. And, you made mention when I saw you at the New Vintage that the banjo is notorious for not staying in tune.
You breathe, you just exhale.
Right.
And it goes out of tune. You look at it funny, it goes out of tune.
So what kind of banjo are you playing there? Is that a vintage piece?
Well, it is by now. It's all beat to heck, and
right.
It needs a wash, but it's a Eastman white lady made up in Rochester, New York by the Eastman School of Music, which is Eastman Kodak and all that. And it's actually it's a replica of an old white lady banjo.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. I wanted to talk about your, I guess your inspiration. Mm-hmm. Who did you look up to, like as a writer? Who do you look to? Who do you like as a writer?
Writing songs. Yeah. Well, I mean, I looked at I write in a certain genre or style, Southern Gothic, and folklore, and so I'll read like these local interest books about ghosts and Kentucky folklore, superstitions, even old country sayings. I even bought a book once of how churches have these kind of funny slogans they put on their marquees out front.
Right.
In the Christian bookstore, they had a book full of those
jokey
kind of Christian, slogans.
I had the idea for that book, but I swear to God,
No, it's a real book. It's bound like a cookbook. It's a real cheap thing, but it had so many cool ideas for like lyrics and things, and you can like kind of warp them a little bit and make them kind of funnier.
Right.
And then I like anyone that kind of takes a Southern thing and kind of pushes it more into that realm of the mystical and not so much the jokey hee-haw or Jerry Springer version of the South, not the PBR and trailer park cliches that anyone can do that.
I get exactly what you're saying.
I want to tap in almost like someone that goes water witching, with a stick. I want to find those things about the South that you can't put your finger on and you can't make a joke about, really, even though I'll use playful lingo to kind of get at something deeper, though,
Sure. Well, my mom's family's from Eastern Kentucky, down around East Bernstead, London area, and there's a whole, folklore, down there. What's the word? They believe in things that city folks wouldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's a whole thing down here. It's all tied in with religion and old English ballads and stories passed down. We've even got in Eastern Kentucky. They've even got like their version of the old Jack of the Beanstalk tales, Jack tales, and things where it's all mangled and messed up and misinterpreted and so all that old English stuff got trapped in the mountains and totally misinterpreted in this awesome way.
Well, my mom swears up and down that when she was younger, they had her lean backwards over a well with a mirror and look at the reflection, and she said that she saw three men in uniform, 2 Navy men and an Army man, and she married 2 Navy men and an Army man.
I love that. That's
that kind of thing. Yeah.
My mom told me about a place in Paducah called Lane Road, and a couple back in the 50s or something got killed there. They're driving their car, and he went off the bridge. And they say if you go to that bridge at night on a full moon and you look down, the guy that was driving, his eyeballs float to the top of the water, and they stare you down, and they say the eyes of Lane Road are upon you.
I mean, we've even got, some of that around Louisville. We got the Pope Lick Monster.
Oh, yeah, that. The Goat Man.
Yeah. And, of course, the old
about the Goat Man in the book, by the way.
Oh, did you really? Yeah. We're going to talk about the book here in a second. The sanitarium, Waverly Hills, is supposed to be.
I tried to get in there, but they were closed, and it looks like they guard it pretty heavily.
Right. I wanted to ask you, have you ever been to Bobby Mackey's?
Yeah, that place is in my barn dance book.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I didn't go there, but I had to mention it because it doesn't really quite fit with the barn dance thing.
Right.
It's worth a mention though because I can't help myself.
Yeah. Well, I think you'd do great there. I've played there a couple times, man.
I heard George Jones debuted "He Stopped Loving Her Today" on that stage.
I know George was on that stage along with Merle Haggard and Conway Twitty, a lot of guys,
but they thought that was a throwaway song, but it ended up being a big hit.
Absolutely. So we're going to play another cut here, if you don't mind, from the legendary Shack Shakers. Blood on the Bluegrass. This is actually one of my favorites. Tell me about this song.
There was a vampire cult of teenagers kind of role-playing Dungeons & Dragon LARPers that got carried away with their hobby, and they started cutting one another and drinking blood, and then they ended up murdering some people, and it made it onto HBO and Oprah, and it was a big story. So that all happened when I was going to school down there. So I had to write a song about it.
It's the legendary Shack Shakers, Blood on the Bluegrass on Cumberland Country.
All right.
All right. The legendary Shack Shakers, Blood on the Bluegrass, and we have one of the original legendary Shack Shakers, J.D. Wilkes, live in the studio.
Hello.
And we're actually going to be here till 7:30, so if you got some friends, give them a call, tell them to tune us in. You can get us at CrescentHillRadio.com, or if you're in the Louisville metro area, 100.9 FM. J.D., I want to talk, you're not just a musician, you're kind of a Renaissance man.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what they say.
Yeah.
I'm a jack of all trades, master of none.
There you go. I mean, you're an artist. You write books. What did I leave out?
Well, I play music and I
Right.
play a bunch of
yeah.
different instruments. Half.
Gotcha.
You know what, Lee?
Right. So you actually got a brand new book that's not out yet.
Well,
soon to be.
That's the prototype you're holding
Right.
there. It will be out in March. It's a novel, and
Right.
it's about Southern folklore.
The Vine That Ate the South.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd say it's a novel about Southern
Well,
folklore?
say you went to the local interest section and all those books I was talking about, like the ghost stories that are supposedly
Right.
true and whatnot. What if you novelized all that into one story?
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of what
That's
I did. It's almost
interesting.
like Lord of the Rings with all the Norse mythology and
Right.
English mythology that he was playing with. I did the same thing with Southern
I got you.
folklore as a kind of a odyssey through the South.
Right. Now you have another book that we actually mentioned on the air.
It's nonfiction,
Yeah.
and it is barn dances and jamborees across Kentucky, and that's like the musical.
Right.
It's not a novel, but it's a journey in and of itself. And
Right.
we going from one end of the state to the other, looking for square dances and barn dances and things
Gotcha.
like that.
So where can my listeners pick up that book and this one when it's ready?
What's the name of the bookstore right down here? Just they got it in there. It's not Carmichael's.
Carmichael's.
They got them down there.
Thanks, Kathy.
I did a book signing there.
Good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. Well, let's talk about your art. Now, you're currently working on a piece in where is it? Paducah.
Paducah. Yeah, they got me doing a big mural in there. So I'm basically a cartoonist. So my version of like a painting or a mural is going to come out looking like a freak show banner.
Right.
Which is, I kind of do those too, but they're just big cartoons is all it is. It's not art with a capital A, but I did go to art school and got a degree in all that, and I used to be a lot better at it, but I'm going to try my best to make this my most recent masterpiece because I've got
you.
till the end of the year to do it, and
Right.
so
Well, that's good.
I'm going to sink some time into it.
Good deal. Well, speaking of masterpieces, why don't you play us another live song?
A masterpiece with a small M, by the way. I'll do another harmonica thing.
All right.
The banjo's suffering. You want your what? You want your what? You want your mama.
All right, J.D. Wilkes live on Cumberland Country, WCHQ.
Just making stuff up.
100.9 FM. You've got like a little, and I don't know if that's a technique. I don't know enough about playing the harp to know, but like a little beatbox thing going on there. Is that
That's an accident because I'm tongue
Oh, is it?
blocking some of the notes as you
Okay.
throw your tongue on the harmonica, and you get two notes out of the corners of your mouth.
right?
So every time you do that, you got to put a little
Oh, I
behind
got
it
you.
to get them to work.
I got you.
So it comes out.
Well, yeah, I mean, it works.
It is like a kind of a beatbox thing. I
Absolutely.
didn't think about that.
Right. So, there is an art to, a lot of my friends, I play music and a lot of my friends play music, and we do a lot of solo stuff because you probably know it's hard to make a living with a band. It's easy. The money splits easier one way.
It does. I found that out this last run.
Right. So, a lot of these guys strap on the old, whatever that's
rack.
called, the rack, and play, and, certainly nowhere near as proficient as you are.
Well, that's why I don't use a rack, because I feel like I'm on the rack,
right?
Like the torture device. But this is what I do. Hold on. I just pick the songs that I can play open.
Right.
And I claw hammer them. Watch this. So we get in tune. Killing time here.
Oh, you're fine. So you're basically tuning
in open G, just like
right.
bluegrass tuning. And then I'll take my C harp, which puts me in G, actually.
Right. Definitely works there. Definitely works.
Well, I mean, it keeps it from sounding too Dylan-ish, and so
right.
you can kind of bend the notes a little
right.
better.
Let's talk a little bit about your banjo technique. You use the claw hammer technique.
And Kentucky two-finger, which
okay.
is something I learned from
right.
Lee Sexton. Lee Sexton, I don't know if you play him on this show, but he was recorded by the Smithsonian, and
okay.
and John Cohen came down and recorded him back in the 50s. He's still alive, and he gave me a couple banjo lessons out there in Letcher County in a schoolhouse in this Kentucky two-finger style. It's older than bluegrass.
Right.
It sounds like bluegrass in a way.
Now, the banjo is based on an African instrument, am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the Cora or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but a gourd banjo.
Gotcha. Well, I haven't had too many banjo players on Cumberland Country, believe it or not. A few. We've got a guy named the Kentucky Bluegrass Writer or something like that we play on our playlist. But let's play another cut here. Let's see what we got lined up. We got CB Song.
Yeah, that was on a Geico commercial for a year, which is basically what bought me my house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but so that was a good year for us.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Well, the legendary Shack Shakers CB Song on Cumberland Country.
And I've got the 1036. I like to stick around and get my miniskirt kicks. Hey. Come on, the dibba-diddy wong. I'm in a hammer down lane, stepping all alone. You pass a steady roller buddy from the guitar town. Rage hell on wheels, knock the slack right out. Pretty baby, why don't you cut 'em on? Your diesel driving daddy's gonna get real gone. Hey, hey. lizard, but she don't shed her skin. She just skins the cat when Bobby Ringer rolls in.
The legendary Shack Shakers CB song, and JD was telling us before we played that was in a Geico commercial, one of the first Gecko commercials.
Yeah, it was one of the first CGI Gecko commercials.
Right.
And, he was still looked a little rudimentary if you go back and look at it now.
I got you. I want to talk about your live music experience. Like, I saw you at New Vintage Solo. So if my listeners are considering coming out to a JD Wilkes show or a legendary Shack Shaker show, what could they expect?
Well, they're very different. When I do solo, I bring a banjo, I bring my harmonicas, and I bring my miniature Tom Thumb piano, which is a real piano.
Right.
Turn of the century, small 64-key antique piano, and I play a little bit of everything I know, which is not a ton, but I'd make do with what I got, and I try to be entertaining.
Right.
But I'm sitting down,
right,
and I'm telling stories, and I'm telling the stories behind the songs like I'm doing right now.
Right.
With the Shack Shakers, it's a blitzkrieg. It's basically, it's like Iggy Pop and Jerry Lee Lewis and rockabilly, and swamp. But it's getting swampier now. Like we're doing a lot more of that swamp blues and garagey kind of bluesier stuff.
Sure.
Kind of getting back to that sound you just heard. Whereas for a while there, we were getting kind of almost into psychobilly territory,
Well, when I saw you at New Vintage, number one, you had an alto sax player with you, which I thought was pretty amazing.
That was just thrown together.
Yeah, the banjo and the alto sax.
Yeah.
You don't see that too often.
No. But, in the old days, old-time music didn't have a formula.
Right.
It was just whoever was your neighbor and whatever they played.
Right.
If it was a pump organ or a jaw harp,
right,
there's your duo,
And I think the most amazing part, it was a very intimate show. Mm-hmm. You walked over to the piano and
across the room.
Yeah, across the room, and we all kind of gathered around you and the at the piano and the alto sax player. That was I
that was
dug
neat.
That, yeah.
Yeah,
really
just
cool.
took the performance over to the other part of the stage.
Who was the sax player? She's from Nashville, right?
Mary. Yeah, her name's Mary.
Okay.
Yeah, but she plays with Woody Pines and Hillbilly Casino and all that, all those Nashville bands.
Good deal. Well, I want to mention to my listeners that JD's going to come out to the WCHQ singer-songwriter open mic at Bear-Nose in the Highlands tonight, and we appreciate you doing that.
I'm looking forward to it.
And you said you got some swag. Did you bring some swag?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the records and
good deal.
Vinyl.
Good deal.
And CDs.
So let's give them a taste of something you might play out at Bear-Nose tonight.
Here's one that Lee Sexton taught me. Now, Lee Sexton was in Coal Miner's Daughter.
Right.
In the Butcher Holler scene where there's a band playing. Now, he's like 91 years old or something. Doesn't get out much, but he still can play.
Right.
Here's one called Ginny Get Around.
J.D. Wilkes live on Cumberland Country, WCHQ 100.9 FM. You know what? I don't know. For some reason, I had a flashback to my childhood when you were playing that song. Maybe I heard that song before, but the first time I ever saw somebody play a banjo was I was watching Hee Haw, and it was Grandpa Jones.
Yeah, that's it. He played clawhammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that same kind of thing.
Gotcha. Who are the out of curiosity here, and maybe some of my listeners be curious too, who are the banjo players like currently?
Oh, Bela Fleck and Steve Martin,
right.
And there's that Gnome guy who plays with Punch Brothers, and those are the ones like in the newgrass world,
right.
That are way out there. There's this band called the Earls of Leicester that are really good, and I think their banjo player just got Entertainer of the Year at IBMA, or Banjo Player of the Year or something.
Right.
But I'm more into, although I love all those guys, and especially Steve Martin, I love him. I love kind of the old-timey pickers. But there's a guy named Richard, who goes by Squirrel down in Middle Tennessee. He's probably my favorite banjo player. And
right.
drawing a blank on their names, but I'll come up with, on the band name, but I'll come up with it because you got to hear that.
Okay.
And so Matt Kinman, the guy that got kicked out of Old Crow Medicine Show for violating the FCC kind of thing, he's awesome. And, I'm drawing a blank, but I love Roscoe Holcomb and Doc Boggs, Buell Casey, all the old-timers from the 50s and 60s.
Well, you've mentioned, the old-time players, and you've mentioned several, local or at least Kentucky guys that, are good players. And do you seek out these old-time musicians and kind of seek them out and go to see them, down in the holler or whatever?
That's what I did with Charlie over by the lake, and of course he was like a dime. Well, I mean, what do you call it? Just sitting out in the open, really one of those people hiding in the open. Right. He played the jamboree there, Lakeland Jamboree. Was a fiddle player. Was Art Stamper's older brother, and everyone just kind of took him for granted, like. But he's just right there. Somebody record him, and so I just went and we just did what we could do to record him. Brought in like some computer and a microphone or a cell phone, even just a tape recorder, anything. Right. And we just tried to get everything down that we could, because he's getting up there. Right. At least Sexton's another one that we need to be appreciative of, and then not even the kind of pseudo famous ones. You could be your grandpa. Go record him before he kicks the bucket. Because that World War II, Depression, and Korean War generation are not going to be around long, and everything younger than them is sort of infected with self-consciousness and counterculture, which is not the agrarian mindset that I'm looking for. Sure. It's the old throwback stuff that is more in common with the 1800s, even the 1700s, that really is dying out. That depression kind of connected us back to that ancient era. Right. Beyond that, when we got into the 50s and 60s, and things started getting kind of fancy. Right. The industrial complex started getting a little too fancy. Right. Then we became more self-conscious. And now people argue about picking styles on computer bulletin boards. That's a foreign concept. That's surreal, isn't it? That is surreal. They'll get into like these cliques and old-time jams and stuff, and contesters versus bluegrassers. It's like, that's not the spirit of the music, y'all. Right. Absolutely. But you don't get that with the old timers. Right.
Well, you're carrying that torch. That's a good thing.
Well, it's just because I'm not good enough to be a bluegrasser, so I relate more to the old timers that didn't give a crap.
Right, I understand. Let's talk a little. You say you've got a new album coming out with the legendary Sack Shakers soon?
Yeah, it's to be announced. It's recorded, it's mastered. It's just waiting for what label's going to put it out. So
gotcha. Let's talk a little bit about the recording. You mentioned, the recording, Charlie Stamper and those guys, but do you work in a recording studio atmosphere well? I mean, do you like that?
I do now. I didn't for a long time, but I found my place down in Atlanta. It took getting out of Nashville is what it took, and I found a really comfortable place down there in a basement just like this where we're at right now. How comfortable this is. It's about like, imagine everybody just kind of hanging out and just playing and coming up with ideas and throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. It's just it's like being in a living room, with your friends. Right. But Nashville, they cloister you off in these little rooms with all these baffles around. You got your headphones on. You're in a booth, and it kills the spirit of what I'm going for.
It says in your bio, it says, the legendary Shack Shakers fans include Stephen King, Robert Plant, Jello Biafra. How do you find out that these guys like you? Do they seek you out?
Let's see. Stephen King heard the Geico commercial.
Right.
And then he bought the record, and then he ended up writing an article about what's on his iPod. And we were like number 5 in his rotation.
Oh, very cool.
And then Shooter Jennings he used to sneak in to see us when we played Lower Broadway. Shooter is friends with Stephen King.
Okay.
So he was able to get a little more information out of him about how he felt about us. So then that was like, bang. We had that. So there's Stephen King's a fan, and then Billy Bob Thornton has always been a fan, come to find out.
Right.
Because he's really studious about Southern art and music. And
right, he is.
And he's a great guy to know, and he's on our new record.
Right.
And Robert Plant ended up, his son opened up for us in Norway and at a festival, and then his son really liked us and told his dad about us. And then we ended up touring Europe with Robert Plant there.
That
things
work.
happen. You're at it for 21 years. Eventually, you're going to bump into some people.
Man.
But here I am, still eking out a living.
Well, I'm thinking the next Stephen King movie ought to have a Shack Shakers or a J.D. Wilkes song on there.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to play one more cut, and then we're going to come back, talk a little, and maybe have you play a live one, and we're almost out of time. Mm-hmm. This is Clodhopper. Clodhopper from the legendary Shack Shakers.
You didn't think there'd be so much yodeling on your show, did you?
No, I dig the yodeling. We need more of it,
right?
Actually. J.D. Wilkes of the legendary Shack Shakers live on Cumberland Country. And we've got a few minutes left. I want to ask you, and I was going to touch on this earlier, do you ever want to play, like maybe when you're younger, a different genre of music? Well, you said you basically started blues, right?
I did gospel kind of and
Right.
show tunes and
Yeah.
Disney
Yeah.
music. But you know what? I think my very first record. We had record players when I was little. I was born in '72, so that's all you had.
Right.
They had something called Kitty Hootenanny, and it was one of those K-Tel records, whatever it was, of just Goober Peas and Clementine.
Right.
Old Folks at Home and all the kind of Stephen Foster tunes and things
Right.
like that done up kind of in a sing-along hillbilly tune for kids,
Right.
style for kids. And I just remember loving that. And I remember, was it Roger Miller that did Robin Hood?
Roger Miller.
That was a great soundtrack. I mean, so much great music was just in those movies back then and TV shows. And it was like reruns really were what I was fascinated with
Right.
and the music in them. So
Gotcha.
but you don't hear that. Now listen to the soundtracks on Disney movies anymore, and it's like Candle in the Wind and the stuff. Kind of,
Right.
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same vibe. You're also a movie maker.
Did a documentary again. Went around with a film crew and just interviewed a bunch of musicians and Southern artists and things like that. It's called Seven Signs. If everyone's interested.
Gotcha. So I want to ask you, where can my listeners find out more about you? Do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook? How do you do that?
At jdwilkes.com. That's WILKES.com, or Facebook. I'm on there with the band page.
Right.
JDWILKES. And Instagram, I'm on there, same spelling. And you can follow my travels on Instagram better than you can on the Facebook.
Right.
So, because that's a daily picture taking thing.
Right. Yeah, all the kids are using
I guess
Instagram
so.
these
I'm
days.
trying to keep up, man. I'm 44 years old.
Right. Yeah. I got me an Instagram page there recently. So,
okay.
So I'm good to go. Let's close out the show with a live tune. What you got for us, man?
Let's see here. I'll do another harp tune. Another harp tune. There it is. Wow.
All right. J.D. Wilkes live on Cumberland Country. So I'm going to a few minutes to cover a few questions I have from listeners. Bailey wants to know, she said she likes Seven Signs.
Oh, yeah.
And she's wondering if you have any plans to make any more movies.
Tomorrow. Yeah, actually, that's kind of another reason why I'm up here is I'm meeting with Blake Judd, who helped me make that movie.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about maybe even doing like a fictitious series or something that's just really about Kentucky folklore and ghosts and paranormal and stuff like that.
Right.
But film it in Kentucky, of course. And so we're going to brainstorm about that. Also, you can check out, I've done little short films. If you go look at my YouTube page, there's a thing on barn dances. There's a thing on, there's a couple of old timers I've documented. Like there's a Lee Sexton short film on there also. Right. So that's really worth checking out.
Gotcha. All right, we have one more question, and this I like this one. This is from Casey. Casey's 6-year-old daughter is actually watching our live feed.
Oh, we're on TV.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
and she wants to know how many banjos you have.
1, 2, 3, 4. I think
Four
I have
banjos?
4. I have this one here. I have an A scale that's shorter, and I have an old mountain banjo that's made out of a tree that fell in the woods.
Right.
And then someone from Spain just shipped me a cigar box banjo that sounds amazing. It almost sounds like a guitar when you plug it in. So 4, and there might even be one hiding in the attic somewhere.
Gotcha. Well, there you go. Casey.
I still want.
Casey's
Yet
the
I
girl's
still
name.
want more banjos.
I got you. I got you. So, JD, I appreciate you being here. JD is coming out to Birno's Pizza in the Highlands for the WCHQ singer-songwriter open mic. Where else can we see you? Say you're going out with the Shack Shakers soon?
Shack Shakers will be out with Chuck Mead from BR549 next month, then out with Reverend Horton Heat and Jello Biafra in December, leading up to New Year's Eve in Florida. Then we'll be doing the entire country for an entire month in January into February. So
we got a quick second. You sighed when you said doing the entire country. Do you like touring?
I do, but I say about 10 days is my tolerance anymore because I'm old.
Right.
But a whole month doing that show every night.
Right.
You know, you start to go
Wears
nuts.
on you, huh?
It does, but I enjoy it, but I start to get homesick. It's Kentucky I'm missing,
I got you. Good deal. All right, JD Wilkes of the legendary Shack Shakers, I appreciate you coming down to the studio and being on Cumberland Country, and we'll see you out at Birno's in the Highlands here real soon.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's 63 degrees, and you're listening to Crescent Hill Radio.
It's 7:29.
Let's take a look at the WCHQ concert view for Thursday, October 13th. All right, folks, got a few shows for you this fine Thursday. Start out at Gerstl's on St. Matthews. You can go and see the war paintings. Down at Goodwood Brewing tonight, live local Thursdays with my old buddy Tom Boone. Over at the Zanzibar tonight, Biario and Alana Fugate. Over at the New Vintage, Soraya, Jet Black Orchid, Jasmine Tide, and Trista Mabry. Down at the Faulkner's Gallery, Creek Lewis and the Quiet Hollers. Over at the Ogle Center in New Albany, Philharmonics. If you don't feel like getting out tonight, stick right here on WCHQ 630 Cumberland Country. We'll feature the music of J.D. Wilkes. And at 8 o'clock, Hippy Spotlight will feature the music of Crackle.
This has been your WCHQ Concert View. If you've got a show you'd like to let us know about, go to CrescentHillRadio.com and hit the icon at the top of the screen that says List Your